Depends what we've been doing them weekly because there's a lot of people that need the information. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're live on that. So here we go. So you're here to reverse neuropathy naturally, right? Mm-hmm. Dr. Tomasetti. Glad you're here. No, you don't need to stand up. You're totally fine. You just stay right there. Yeah. Maybe later we'll stand up. Sandra, very good. Thank you. Yeah, certainly. Glad you're here. You met Kayla, I'm sure, already.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Strickland is right here. He's going to be helping us out today as well. And we've got Alex on our team. And we've got some others that are on extended for Father's Day traveling and all those kind of things. So Dr. Williams and anyway. So we got some other staff that are not here with us today, but that's our crew. And Ben, our office manager, is doing all the office stuff in the back there. So say hi to Ben if you meet Ben. So here we go. Yeah, Shayna. Before I was in pain, 2 treatments down, and I've got some balance, and most of the pain in my right side is gone, and my left leg is improving. Part of my job today is to give you guys some hope. Because there's one thing I've learned over the years is with neuropathy, it can be kind of hopeless. Am I right? You've experienced some of that before? Like, yeah, no, it's small enough. We can chat. It's okay. You haven't lost hope yet? Mm-hmm. Good. Have you? No?
It's gotten worse, but
It's gotten worse, but it's not hopeless at that stage yet. Good. I've seen a lot of people in really dark spots. So glad you're not at that stage mentally yet. That is what really gets you. We're doing this without drugs and surgery. We're seeing great results in 90 days. Who's thinking, yeah, right? Baloney. I don't believe you. You're like, maybe? Open-minded? Yeah, okay. It's okay to chat. We can talk a little bit. I think this is personalized as we need to today because we have the time and the space to do that. So a little bit about me. I'm a local guy. My family here, my amazing wife, Emily. We have 6 kiddos, a couple of dogs, outside cats, some fish. My son is a snake. We have a whole menagerie of things going on that keeps me busy when I'm not in here. You guys are from where? Where's home?
Harrisburg.
Camp Hill. Okay, so pretty local.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born at Old Spirit Hospital and went away to school and came back to the area, so it didn't travel too far. Mm-hmm. What are some things you love to do?
I loved it. I used to have a flower garden, but I can't do that anymore.
Oh, right.
Not necessarily because of my feet, although my left foot's gotten worse. Mm-hmm. I had an accident 2 years ago, and stooping over, I had a broken neck, so I had it's just too
other complications that make that. Yeah. But still, health challenges, having to give up some of the things that you enjoy or love.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Have you experienced that too? You have to modify things or change how you're living because of the...
my problem is sciatica, and then lately it's like if I sit in the car for so long, mm-hmm. especially when there's a bump.
Oh, right, that bouncing really...
Here, on my butt.
Okay.
Pain.
Yeah.
But I went to physical therapy, but for the first time I went to a chiropractor, mm-hmm. and I don't know why I did that. Because I got tired of the physical therapy. So I tried as a chiropractor.
Sure.
And I've only had 4 sessions there. Mm-hmm. And especially when they focused last Monday or Wednesday. Mm-hmm. On my lower back, I haven't had pain sitting.
That's a great thing.
What does she have, sciatica? Is that what?
Yeah, you said sciatica.
Sciatica.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had that years and years ago.
Yeah. Miserable, isn't it?
It's very.
Yeah, it's no fun. Yeah. So then, begs the question, like, on a deeper level, why are you here today? Why are you spending time on a nice Friday to learn about this? So you don't need to answer that per se, but just go, what's that, what are you really here for? It's not just to learn something, because everybody, you can look this up wherever you want. It's going like, how do we translated for you in your day in, day out, your relationships, what's meaningful for you, right? What quality of life are you trying to get back is usually the main question. Yeah, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. So here's my joke today. Why do the patients stop seeing their neurologist?
Oh no, I went to work for quite a while after a broken neck.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
No. Nothing was working. It's like.
Yeah.
The reason I came here was it no surgery, no. It's like something natural.
Right.
And sometimes this neurologist all they want is surgery, and you don't want.
Yeah, it's so you want the natural route, and that's great. That's exactly what we do. So the punchline is they got on their nerves. Yeah, right. It's okay. It's a dad joke. It is what it is. But but like you were saying though, to your point, there's a time and a place, but then they don't have much to offer after the initial diagnosis. Maybe usually they're not treating anything. They're sending you somewhere else, or they have medications as their toolbox, right? Has that been your experience too? It's like, okay, we're monitoring this, we're seeing how it goes, and diagnostics, but there's not a lot of what do we do to heal it up?
I was taking a really strong pill.
Yeah.
And another doctor said after a month of taking that, I shouldn't take it anymore. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It was over 2 years ago. But I was having severe headaches because I had a concussion when I broke my neck.
I mean, you break a neck, it's not a small thing. Yeah.
I was lucky I lived through it, let alone.
Right. And I'll tell more of that story in a minute because I had some experience with that myself. But it's not a joking matter that nerves get damaged, right? So that's what neuropathy is damage to the nerve system. There's two parts. There's the central, which is the brain and the spinal cord. And then everything else, arms, legs, even the head is considered, or the face is considered peripheral. So anything outside of the central, being brain and spinal cord, is considered peripheral. So that's damage to those nerves. So it might be in one limb, like you're saying, kind of a sciatic, is like a mononeuropathy, and then you've got other ones that are both feet and both hands and different presentations like that for various reasons. But that's what neuropathy is. Bottom line is damage to the nerve system. Okay? There's over 20 million people in the U.S. suffering with this, so you're not alone. That's 1 in 6 people over age 45 that have this condition. A lot of people. So how do you get neuropathy?
Yeah. Can
you catch it? Is it contagious? No.
I thought I got mine because I'm also doctoring for poor blood circulation.
That's a key one, Sandra, is the circulation. We'll talk about that here in a minute. We'll see how we assess it and improve it as well. That's critical. Circulation is a major one. Okay? Yeah. So what are the traditional options they have for you? What have they done so far to manage your neuropathy symptoms?
I go to a cardiologist, and he kind of doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything. So there's let's monitor it and watch and just see how bad it can get, right?
Checks my veins.
Right.
And I've had some procedures done on both legs. But he hasn't paid that much attention to the neuropathy. Gotcha.
Yeah, so they may not even know what to do for it, is one piece. Other Trinidad, have you had other, you said they give you medications or just PT, or what was
Yeah. Now, I remember frustration with, I went to OSS.
Yeah.
And sometime I'll have my MRI. So I don't know. They're thinking of surgery, but I don't want.
Right.
I'm curious what they have to offer.
Sure. Yeah, so traditionally, they usually start with a painkiller of some kind or another, medication, and then they'll ramp it up. And common ones are gabapentin, Neurontin. Yeah, I saw the gabapentin. That makes you crazy. I hear
four a day.
Yeah, 4 a day.
4.
And they keep ramping the dose up over time to manage the symptoms. That's a really common thing that we see. So medication is what's that?
L.E.G.A.C.Y also.
Yeah, L.E.G.A.C.Y, like all the pain relievers and nerve blockers, basically nerve pain blockers. So gabapentin, Lyrica, Cymbalta, these are the common ones that are out there.
That's a nerve blocker, or is that a painkiller?
Those are more painkillers, but they function differently in the brain than actually like blocking. Yeah, so there's a whole, basically the bottom line is drugs are their main first line approach. They may do PT depending on the scenario. But other than that, it's kind of like watch this and see how it goes, especially if it's sciatica, there may be some benefit with PT and that kind of thing. But if it's actual blood flow problems, and they don't have a lot of solutions for that. Medication can't regrow new blood vessels, right? Medication can help to stabilize blood sugar, but it doesn't reverse the damage from the blood sugar. Does that make sense? So these are elements that medication literally has no option to correct. So then once that gets worse, the nerve continues to degenerate, then walkers, wheelchairs, worst case scenario, amputations. I've seen too many. I don't want to see more of those, right? So those are things we're trying to prevent. And if we catch it early enough, we have a really good shot at doing that. So those are the things we look for. But basically, those are the options. Drugs, and then down the trail, if they, heaven forbid, you end up losing a toe or a foot or something worse. I'm not a doomsdayer. I don't spend a lot of time on that, but I would be remiss as a doctor if I didn't tell you where this can end up, right? So that's that. Essentially, it's symptom management, right? They're managing symptoms. That's the best they have to offer. They have nothing in terms of correction or reversal in their toolkit. And that's not to blame them. They didn't have the education that I was able to get. And so we've got different areas of expertise, and this is just not in their wheelhouse. It's a chronic degenerative disease, and Western medicine is not designed to deal with that. We're best in the world at heart attacks and emergency situations, but for chronic illness, we are literally, I don't know, what is it, Doc? We're on like 150th on the World Health Organization. Like we are way, 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 way down the list in terms of dollars spent and outcomes for chronic health conditions. So we need to change that paradigm and that dynamic. So if you're tired of like managing symptoms, like, raise your hand. That's probably why you're here, right? You're like, I'm done managing symptoms. I want some actual solutions, right? Okay, so that's that part. Medical errors would be the #3 cause of death in the U.S. if the CDC counted them. This is from the British medical journals, but that's 10 plus years old, that data. So medical error is a major problem. And you end up losing quality of life then, right? Like we went to the Finger Lakes last August for our anniversary. This is a photo I took and thinking like most of my patients would hate to see that staircase, but they don't get to see what's on the other side. And it was breaking my heart, like, oh man, like we can get you living life better, moving better, getting your balance back. Then all that can be a possibility again, or, for some people. Not we can't help everybody, but the ones that we can, we're seeing tremendous changes with, right? So there has to be a better way than symptom management and just watching this stuff go downhill. And so to talk about that, again, like I said, we can't help everybody, but the cases we can help, we're seeing better than 95% improvement. Okay? What does that mean? What does success look like? 50 to 100% resolution in the symptoms. Would that be success if you get 50 to 100% better? Yeah. So that's what we're seeing for the cases that we can help. If we can't help somebody, we tell them up front, this is beyond what we can help, and your nerves are too damaged or what have you, and we don't accept those cases. So that's why our success rate is so high, is that we're picky with who we work with, because when we say, yes, we can help you, we are all, we're all in on helping you out, and we're very confident in what we do. Okay? Why do you think it's not 100%?
Because there are other factors
that
are not attended to or not resolved.
Yeah, and there definitely are things where nothing's perfect, right? 2, with medicine, we cannot guarantee an outcome because that's illegal, so we don't do that. But the other major one is we have over 250 pages of research that shows what we do works. And these systems have been used around the country with thousands and thousands and thousands of patients with similar results. It's usually the person that's not doing the work They're not putting in the work to get the result that they need to get. And that's when we see, like, I know I can help you, but you have to do your part. And they end up not participating fully in their care, and they don't get the outcome that they want. So that's the main reason we see that lower than that. So that's what that is. But success would be 50 to 100% better. Like I said, that's what we commonly see. A couple people that happened for was Jay. We're miserable, a lot of pain in our legs. Jay, when he came in, he had a disc problem in his back, and he also had neuropathy, but he thought it was plantar fasciitis. And bottom line is, he was riding on the floorboard of the car when he came in because he couldn't sit up in a chair. Like you're saying, when you're driving for a long period of time, it would hurt his back a lot. So he had a disc problem and neuropathy. We had to do a good bit of work on him, but he got his job back. Was able to go, be around his family again, and really made a lot of good changes. So, so now he can walk and walking without pain. So Jay did a whole lot better. Rick, if you'd like his phone number, just let me know. He said I can hand it out to whoever would like to contact him. He said neuropathy was driving me crazy. My feet were they were ice cold, and I would wake up 5 or 6 times a night. And after a few visits, I'm now sleeping through the night. I no longer have to get up. My neuropathy is 75% better. And I called Rick a while ago. Somebody was asking for his number. And I said, hey, just to honor that relationship, say, hey, can I get out your number again? And he said, Doc, I'm in Alaska on a glacier. Do you mind if I call you when I'm back in town? I was like, Rick, of course, why are you picking up the phone? But the point is, he was able to get back to doing things he loved to do and really made giant changes. So it was really cool to be a part of that story for him, and he could go back to living his life again. So Sandy, so a lot of progress when she came in. She was in bad shape and couldn't walk. A lot of pain in her legs. Right leg is pain-free, and my left leg is feeling better. The treatment is helping, and it's been worth every penny. So those are her words. And to show you some long-term results of this, Betty was one of my first patients in practice. This is now going back almost 20 years. So she came in and had a back problem originally, and I'm a chiropractor, so we worked on her and got her better pretty quickly. She did great with that. And then she said, my sister has neuropathy, and I'm developing that as well. Can you help me with that? And I said, I don't know. We heard about it at school, but let's check some things and try some things. And we worked on her for a while, and guess what happened?
Improved.
No, we failed miserably. She got nowhere. In fact, she got worse.
Oh, wow, why?
Yeah. Why? Because neuropathy is a degenerative condition, and we were doing things to her in the office only. Okay? We switched things up, which in that context was doing more different things in the office, and she still wasn't improving. And then we found the system we're using now, and I got to develop that, and she got amazing results. So you're going to hear her mention numbers in her video. When the nerve gets to the point where it's too far gone, it's usually 85% sensory loss. When the nerve is that far damaged, it's like a plant that's wilted too much. You can water it, change the soil, all the stuff, but that plant's just too far gone, not coming back. Mm-hmm. So the same idea goes with your nerves. If that nerve is too far degenerated, sometimes you can't get it back to full health again, right? So 85% is that kind of cutoff for most people. So she's going to mention numbers here as far as where she started in her improvement. And then the difference is between these two is a 6-year spread. Okay, this is my office in Lancaster. I was there for 15 years before we moved up this way. And that's why the setting looks different. The other thing that everybody mentions is the treatment does not turn your hair white. She decided to go gracefully gray between those, the two videos. So I'll let her tell her story. You can hear that from her.
Okay.
So I'm here with Betty, and she's been, how long been in the Neuropathy Program now?
Over 2 months.
About 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you started, and you were pretty high percentages for
Yes. If I'm correct, I'm 88% loss.
88%, right.
On the right and 78 on the left.
Yeah, and we weren't really sure, like, I don't know if it's going to help initially. So tell me, what were you experiencing when you first came in with the neuropathy symptoms?
Yeah, extremely restless at night, and my toes area especially hurt. It was an unusual, it was hard to define or describe the ache that's there. Sometimes it felt like my feet were freezing, and yet when I touched them, they weren't cold.
Right, that sensation of the freezing. Yeah. And then, what's been your experience since being able to start the program?
Well, I don't experience the restlessness or the pain.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that's only been 2 months, and I have time to go yet, so I'm very delighted.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this turns out for you, because I know when we looked at your last set of numbers, you're doing, I think it was less than 40%.
It's 31.
It's 31 on one side and
31 on the other.
Oh, they always eat.
Yes.
See, you know better than I do. That's great. So that's a huge change from 80s.
It is.
That's wonderful.
And I'm so grateful. But the thing that really blesses my heart is my older sister is numb from her knees down, and now from her hands to her elbows. And I was hoping I could avoid that, and with God's help and your help in doing that.
Yeah, we're really thankful to be a part of that, and that we get to be a part of your story with that. Thanks so much for sharing that. Do I have your permission to share this with other people, other patients, other students, other doctors?
Sure.
Yeah. Any conditions on sharing that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much, Betty.
You're welcome.
All right. Did that make sense? So she was almost at the point of no return for the nerve damage, and we're able to reverse it in 2 months, substantially better. And then this was 6 years ago, or I'm sorry, 6 years later, this February a year ago. It's only, this is what about a 6 or so year follow-up.
Yeah.
So tell me what your symptoms are now for the neuropathy.
Well, it's good unless I eat sweets.
Okay.
Then I have misery in my feet.
Gotcha.
Big time.
But otherwise, you don't really need your equipment right now, and you're not really using that as part of your care plan anymore.
Correct.
You just stay on the diet part.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And that's fantastic long-term results with self-love, especially because your sister was in bad shape.
Yes.
And we've avoided that. Thank God for that.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Betty. Appreciate it.
For what you do as well.
Bless you. Thank you. So Betty got 100%
Is that her
resolution.
sister then?
No, that's Betty. Her sister was not local and was not around any of my colleagues, so she literally was in a wheelchair. Yeah, we couldn't help her out. Betty, though, is playing with her grandkids. And she has 0 sensory loss. We got all the nerve sensory back. And now I checked in with her actually last week, and she's like, doing fine, and as long as I see her for the sugar, my feet are okay. And she's non-diabetic. You should know that. So you can have a nerve damage problem related to sugar handling and not be diabetic. A lot of people are unaware of that. But for her, she knows that's the main tell. If she chews too much on the food, on the diet, and she's got misery in her feet, and she goes back to eating clean, and then she's okay. So for her, she's healed the nerves up enough where she has some leeway with that again, but she still notices that causes her problems. Okay? But as far as that goes, she has the equipment if she needs it, but she doesn't need to use it regularly. And when we do the testing, she has all of her sensory back and she feels everything. So that's pretty fantastic. And that's the kind of long-term results we get to see. So today, the measure of success is helping you understand what causes neuropathy, showing you the 4-prong approach we use to get it better, and make sure you guys have some hope. You're seeing some real people getting wins. And then I'd like to share an opportunity with one of you to actually show you what this looks like in real time. Does that sound like a plan? That's what we're doing. So put your hand up like this. We're going to cover the first part right now. So this is a demonstration. You can put your hand up. This is going to represent your nerve cell. The palm is the nerve cell. Okay? The fingers then represent the blood flow, like you were mentioning, to the nerve cell. Now, make a fist as tight as you are able to and squeeze that for a solid 10 minutes. What's that going to start to feel like? Not right yet, numb. Maybe some pain in there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some tingling, right? Like, so does that make sense? You can relax your hand, but now you start to get the concept that when that nerve is starting to suffocate and it's starving for oxygen and nutrients, it's going to scream at you and let you know. So all the symptoms of neuropathy stem from that concept. That's what causes all the symptoms.
So it's not blood flow?
Right. So again, you're choking off the blood flow. You're suffocating that nerve. You can't get oxygen.
Okay.
It can't get nutrients in. It can't get poisons out. And it's going to start to send the signals that it does. And then your brain feels pain, or eventually then we'll go numb. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the insidious thing with neuropathy, is that as the disease gets worse, you think you feel better because you don't have any more symptoms. The symptoms die off as the nerves die off. Mm. And so that's, oh, well, I'm doing okay, or it's staying stable. Most of the time it's declining and you're unaware of it. The brain can't perceive that you're actually getting worse. So that's one of the tricky things with this particular condition. But that's what causes it. Now, the better question is, what causes this? Right? What causes that nerve to start to, the blood vessels to die off and that nerve to suffocate and choke? And the answer is, it's over 100 different reasons that we know of. Okay? What are the most common ones? Any ideas? Kind of give me a little clue up here.
Yeah. Good muscle memories.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the symptoms, if you're making that fist, right, you'll feel burning or tingling or numbness eventually. You might feel some weakness in the hand, or that idea, or you'll get muscle weakness involved. And with the feet and legs, you get loss of balance. These are the symptoms that are there. And then necrotic is dying tissue. Like if you put a rubber band around your finger long enough, it's going to start to kill it and it's going to die, right? That's just how that works. So those are the symptoms you see in the feet. That's where the tissue dies too much. They have to cut it off. That's the amputation stage. Underlying that is gut health. That's a major one. We mentioned the diet element with Betty. Macronutrients, that's your protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Most of us in the U.S. are consuming too many carbohydrates, or the sugary stuff, and that's a very fast way to damage the nerves. And depending on your genetics and all those other things, you can either be more susceptible to that or not. But generally speaking, we're overloaded with sugar in the U.S. especially. Micronutrients, that's like B12. That would be folic acid. That would be lipoic acid. These nutrients, magnesium, all these things that nerves need to function and run properly, and for the brain to send the signals back and forth. So that would be micronutrients. Oxygen deprivation. Again, if you're not moving around, you can't get blood flow and oxygen to the tissues. Some people have different respiratory challenges where they can't get enough oxygen to the tissues, or heart problems. There's various things that can go into why that happens. Sedentary lifestyle we just mentioned, and then underlying neurological weaknesses. Also, this can be autoimmune related. We see an uptick since COVID and the vaccines. So there's toxicity involved. Heavy metals like mercury damage nerves. Lead, very common in our environment, and some people in their mouth, and that can damage the nerves. So there's a lot of different environmental pollutants, immune system, things like Lyme disease and its co-infections can actually cause neuropathy. In Pennsylvania, we are one of the hotspots for Lyme disease. So that's a major one that contributes. It's underlying. People don't know that they have it, and it's actually causing damage to the nerve system. We see a good bit of that, or at least it's a complicating factor for that. So all these things together, we have to figure out what's going on that's driving that damage and choking off that nerve cell. But you can see if you don't get to those things, then you're just treating symptoms with meds or what have you, and it's not going to get you very far. You can't heal the nerve unless you get to the root cause of it. Same thing like the tree. If you don't fix the root system, you can put, staple some leaves on there, but it's not going to, you get the idea. All right, so you mentioned blood flow. So secret number one is restoring blood flow and creating new blood vessels. we do have the ability to create new blood vessels. That's called angiogenesis. That's the term. So we see here, we do a thermal scan, and red and white are the normal colors. Anything other than red and white is bad, right? Those are the only two acceptable colors in the office. So what do you see on this initial scan in, this is June 2nd of 23. What do you see in the feet?
A lot of yellow.
Yeah, a lot of yellow. Real, I mean, blue down here is like,
blue.
you know, that's colder than 68 degrees. So there's a lot of damage and there's no blood flow getting to those tissues. All right. And then after treatment, we're seeing, this is the 18th of July, about 6 weeks later. What do you see in the feet now?
A lot of red.
Yeah. So we're starting to, actually this patient is now regenerating blood vessels and getting blood flow back to their own tissues.
How do you get those pictures?
We use technology in the office. It's a thermal camera to measure or to check the heat on the feet. Yeah. Yep. Great question.
So like if I have that camera, because I want to see, how
Yeah, you're going like, how bad is mine, right? Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that in a minute. I love the way you're thinking. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, you could purchase one on your own. That's not a hard thing to do. But usually we can, there's other ways around that. But yeah, that's an option. So who's this for? Mostly people that value their quality of life. They want to do more things again. They want to get back to the way life used to be and enjoy that. And they, you know, looking into the, you know, into the future and saying, I want to be able to do more and live more and enjoy my relationships more, right? But here's the key. You have to want to be an active participant in the care. Like I mentioned with Betty, if she came in and we did things to her and for her in the office, she didn't really get anywhere. And that's where we really failed miserably, was only doing in-office care. It's the day in, day out work at home that really makes the changes. And then we get boosters when we're in the office, and the therapies we can do now that where I didn't have back then. We have amazing technology now that just rocket boosts the results. So I'll tell you about those here in a minute. But the key is wanting to be a participant. If you're saying, hey, doc, fix me, not going to happen. Okay, then you have to do the healing and the work day in and day out. So who's this for? You've tried everything else, or you don't want to do the other stuff, which is standard of care and, you know, meds, drugs, surgery, and so on, right? You haven't lost hope, so that's great. But those that have lost hope, there's actually hope out there. We're winning when other systems have failed. And you're still suffering with all the stuff that goes along with that. This could be a good option for you. All right, so I want to show you today what nerves need to heal on their own, because if you can't heal the nerve, you can't get neuropathy better. So the only way to reverse it is to, like I said, restore the nerve function. And here's how you do that. Number one is getting oxygen and nutrients to that tissue. You have to restore the circulation. Okay? Number two then is inflammatory control. You have to reduce the inflammation in the system so that nerve is not screaming from all those inflammatory stimuli. Primarily through foods and changing inflammatory markers in the foods. We mentioned sugar is one of the biggies. What else would damage or kill nerves?
Too much carbohydrates?
Yeah, too much carbohydrate, that's going to turn directly into sugar in the bloodstream, and you got that whole cycle round and round. Yeah, great, Sandra. Another major one is alcohol. Alcohol damages nerves, right? We mentioned other things like, basically, processed foods are going to create inflammation, right? So we all know this. Where should we shop in the grocery store? In the center or around the edges?
I don't grocery shop. My doctor does it.
Yes, you have somebody do it for you.
I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
It started when I had the broken neck and couldn't
Of
get
course,
out for
yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of taken it over.
Yeah.
The stores are so big anymore.
Right.
They're giant.
So there's a lot
I
of-
can't go through all.
Yeah, there's a lot to go through, number one. And I'm grateful you've got a support network, because some people don't even have that.
I know
That's
you can do it
giant.
online, but
There's Instacart now.
Right, you got all those services, but the point is, where's the good, healthy food? In the middle or around the edges?
I don't know. Probably.
You don't know because you haven't been to the store. Yeah, so generally though, it's the veggies, right, the fruits. We want the whole foods, not the packaged stuff in the middle of the store. That's where they put all the cookies and the chips and the junk food is right in the middle when you walk right in the store. So bottom line is, though, eat food the way God made it. If it came out of the ground and it's a plant, like it's a healthy, we got all kinds of options for good healthy farms around here with good lean meats and healthy options. So if it's the way God made it, and it's got one ingredient, you're in good shape, generally speaking, right? If it comes in a package, it's going to have more things and been processed, it's going to create more inflammation in the body. So it's some common sense on that, and it really is that simple. But you have to play by the rules, right? You got to do those things, and a lot of times that's hard to make those changes when we've had these habits of dietary things over the years. So, but eat whole natural foods, and good oils are really important. So we could talk a whole other seminar just on food. We have to reduce inflammation is the cornerstone. And then number 3 is accelerating the nerve healing, and that is reconnecting the brain and the feet. And those are the different therapies and tools and techniques we have to use to accelerate that healing process, because most of the time, 1 and 2 are not enough on their own. And the nerve is still degenerating quicker, and you got to get that boost back in the system to really win. So, a little about me. I've been doing this 20 years now. Advanced certifications with the L.E.G.A.C.Y and with NET. The bottom line there is I understand how the brain nerve system works as a whole team. And there are doctors from every developed country in the world that are part of the L.E.G.A.C.Y. It's an international college. And they just think holistically, and they think they try to do things as natural as possible. It's great to have colleagues we can ask questions, literally pick up that phone and get some answers. Pretty
Do you
cool.
think red meat, eat it in moderation?
Yeah, again, red meat, moderation is probably a good way to go. But generally speaking, yeah, you want like leaner meats, right? So you want to minimize your red meats because they do tend to be a little more inflammatory, but it depends on the person. Some people do really well. So there's variation there, but as a general rule, we know red meats tend to be more inflammatory.
Fish.
Yeah. So, and the other main one here is NET. We know that stress causes more inflammation and causes more problems, right? Just in general. So the number 1 killer in the world is still stress. So do you think the stress does more relaxation or more of this? Yeah, it does way more of this, right? So when we've gone through different traumas in our life, whether it's a global pandemic or we've got specific personal things like a broken neck or whatever else might have been emotionally stressful in our stories, that impacts the nervous system to stay in this mode and not in a healing, relaxed state. So NET allows us to reverse that in the brain and the nervous system and remove that stress component that a lot of people are suffering with is contributing to their neuropathy symptoms. This is a special thing that I think we're the only office that I know of in the area. There's one that's starting to implement that in the Chicago area. But other than that, there's very few offices around the country that are using that technique within this context. I got to teach anatomy and physiology for a little while. We've been doing neuropathy for over 7 years and seen, probably over 2,300 cases by now. Countless seminars, well over 500 hours, traveling around the country figuring this stuff out, which means time away from my family, figuring out treatment protocols, like what actually works, what doesn't work, how do we get Betty better when she's not getting better. And now I get to consult with other doctors, and I got to present earlier this year in April to a bunch of us down in Florida at a convention. So I get to consult with other docs and do some presentations. Why does that matter? I never wanted to do any of that, to be honest with you. It was never a passion. I never wanted to do it. Never went to school for it. So why am I here doing seminars and teaching people this stuff? Did you ever learn the hard way? School of Hard Knocks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is my story with that one, the hard way. So my dad was a Vietnam veteran, served 2 tours in Vietnam. And he was in Special Forces, paratrooper. And so he was a tough guy, right? He could manage it, deal with it, handle it. And he also had Agent Orange exposure, which we know is a nerve toxin, right? Causes all kinds of problems. So when he, but he wasn't the mindset, like he didn't want to let us know how bad things were really getting. But he was starting to lose his balance, things like that. But heart of gold too. So our neighbor was having a litter of puppies, and we had an extra kennel in the garage. So we went up the steps to get the kennel to help out our neighbor. And as he's coming down the steps, he fell, lost his balance, and he fell and he broke his neck.
Oh.
And you will know all too well.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the steps for an hour before anybody knew, because he thought he was going to help out the neighbor. And my mom calls me, she's like, your dad fell, but she was in shock, so didn't translate on the phone like this is a big deal. But you got that knower, it's like, you know what, something's really going on, you need to check more into that. So I drove down to the hospital, and when I get there, they're like, Doc, look, here's his films. We got him in traction right now. We're doing the best we can, but he's going to be a quadriplegic. He's going to be a C5 quad, which means he could raise his elbows a little bit, but he could use his hands very well. He did eventually learn to feed himself some, but he was in a wheelchair the rest of his life. Had a hard time hugging his kids and his grandkids.
That's why I was lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where
I was on the way to the Harrisburg Hospital. They
Yeah.
thought I kept saying, I fell, not at my house, I fell down wooden steps
what?
with the
Yeah,
hairdresser,
right.
the whole flight, all
Mhm.
12.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, I got such a headache. I had such a headache.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they were taking me to Harrisburg, because
Yeah.
that's where I wanted them
Yeah.
to take me. And then somebody came on the speakerphone and said, this could be a trauma,
Mhm. Right.
and she really should be taken to Hershey.
Mhm.
And that's how I wound up in
Yeah.
Hershey. But
Yeah.
I wasn't in traction. I just had the most ungodly brace down my neck and
Sure.
around my chin that you could barely open
Right.
your mouth
Yeah.
to eat. I mean, it had to be applesauce, Jello, and liquids.
Yeah. Miserable.
I know. For
Yeah.
a long time, I had that.
Yeah. Right. And so like my dad, they took him to Philly,
Yeah.
and that's where the rehab was, and so we'd be trained down and all that. So but yeah, you mentioned how he was in his 60s. He wasn't super old, wasn't like 95 and just no, he was generally in good shape, but the nerve damage was such where he was losing his balance and wasn't really paying attention. No one was really monitoring it. That's the other thing. No one's checking and testing to see how bad is the balance. How is this actually progressing, getting worse, or
when they moved him and he
Right.
fell, I mean, you got to be careful. About
exactly.
that. They were real careful about getting me off the steps because I fell on the landing,
Right.
and they had to kind of like turn,
Mm-hmm.
and they kept conversing back and forth to get me on the litter.
Sure.
And I know it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
We managed. We got there.
Yeah, and thankfully you're not in a chair, so that's
I know.
a win.
And I don't think my blood circulation has anything to do with that.
They can be very separate scenarios for sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But that being said, the balance is a major player, right?
My balance still isn't,
Yeah, I'm sure it's not great. Yeah.
or else I wouldn't be on this.
Right. Yeah, but that's my story that got me to figure out, like, we're gonna do something. Because I understand, like, we were looking at, like, we had to put on an ADA compliant, master on the first floor. Now, because they had a 2-story house. And back then was $50,000 minimum for basic stuff. It wasn't like a nice anything. It was just $50,000 back then. I can't imagine what it is now to put on an addition or do something like that to make it.
I still live in a 2-story house
Yeah.
by myself.
That's great. Looks like you had a question.
Yeah, the other day, I don't know where I did this story. I was sitting, I was in one room at home, and I stood up, and then over there is the door.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to the door, I was like, I was doing this,
Yeah.
and everything that I was holding on to fell on the floor. And the door, we have this door that goes to the basement.
Mm-hmm.
It was open, so I really held on to the chair.
Yeah.
And I got scared. I was really so scared because
Yeah.
my husband said it's because you're getting older. You're,
No.
no.
And here's why. If it were just because you're getting older, everybody age whatever would have the same balance problems. Because if it's just age related, it would all happen to everybody in the same time frame. But it doesn't.
So what was that? It was scary.
I don't know yet, but you mentioned a really important thing. People get scared, like, and then you just stop. You go, okay, I'm fearful of doing this, so I'm not going to do that anymore. You start to lose that quality of life, and you're walking around all the time going afraid, low level, if not, even more, going like, can I?
Every time I go, every morning, because I live in a 2-story home by myself.
Yeah.
Every time I go down those steps, and it's been over 2 years. Number one, I don't wear shoes or slippers.
Okay.
I go barefooted.
Yeah.
Now my steps are carpeted. I don't know if that would have made a big difference from the wooden steps that fell down. But I'm just afraid a slipper or something like that is going to come off and make me fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes through my head.
Yeah, of course.
And I go very slow. I had a second railing put in. And it was too bad that about 3 years before that, my father had a chairlift in his house.
Okay.
But I wasn't having any problems then, and I sold it. I mean, because I moved him into an assisted living place.
Sure.
I could have used it, I guess, but I don't know. I get around the best I can.
Right.
I can't do shopping all day like I used to, but it saves money.
True. But the bottom line is,
you can't travel though. I mean,
it sounds like it takes energy, mental energy. You could spend on other things. It's like low level fear or hesitation with just day to day living, and that just zaps you over time.
They were telling me that maybe I got up too fast, from my seated position.
Yeah.
That could be it. But,
So is it getting up too fast, or is it your body is no longer able to adapt to moving quickly?
Yeah.
It's the second
restaurant or something like that. And you sit there for an hour and a half or so. When everybody stands up to leave, I'll say, I can stand up, but I can't walk away like you do right away because I have to.
Yeah,
get used to it. Yeah. And then I'm okay. But of course I have this too.
So again, we use these words like standing up too fast, but it's not about the speed at which you stand up. It's the fact that your body's no longer able to handle that same activity. You've lost function. And most of the time you can get that back. And so that's what I want to let you know is that's an adrenal problem. Or it might be over-medicated blood pressure. There's a lot of reasons why that can happen. But a lot of the times, that's your body saying, giving you a signal like, wait a minute, something's going on here. It's not about the speed that you're moving. It's that I can no longer I don't have the resources available to me to be able to do what I once used to do. And that is something that most of the time can be improved. So just know that that's a piece of the puzzle.
They need to make grocery stores not so big. I mean, there's a lot of older people.
Yeah, it's true.
Just because they're older, I mean, I'm older people, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm 81. But they're just so massive from one end to the other. Older folks can't do that.
Yeah, and there's some smaller ones that are coming out now that they're realizing that and going back to a smaller model. But you're right, most of them are bigger than we need them to be, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's the hard way that I learned this. Like, I really had to go through that and figure this out. But if I could stop one person, my dad, we actually we put him to rest at the just after Christmas this past year. Yeah, so it was a good 10-year journey. So he was in his late 70s.
He was in a wheelchair all that time.
In a wheelchair for that whole time. And then the complications that go with that, right? So he had respiratory things show up after that, and he had bed sores.
I was just going to say bed sores.
The whole mat, and then infections from that, and
But how was his attitude?
It's good for a while. Like anything, you go, okay, we're gonna bounce back to the best we can. But over time, it just wears you down.
Oh yeah.
He got grumpier. He got more checked out. Yeah, and that's that's the hardest thing to see.
Yeah.
Is that decline when you see the spirit broken?
Yeah.
That's when you and then it just goes from there. And so that's the.
I have a friend right now, and she used to be very active, and then a few years ago, she was diagnosed with Parkinson.
Yeah.
I was going to chiropractic care Parkinson.
Depends. That's a whole other seminar for brain health and Parkinson's and things like that. Yeah, but so that's my story how I figured this out. It's like I got to figure this out. So all the time I spent away from my family, flying around the country, studying this stuff. That's why. So that's our passion behind it. That's why we do these regularly, to inform people, look, there's another way, and we got it figured out. And you don't need to live this way anymore. Okay, so just know that that's where we're coming from. So the opportunity is going to be, we're going to check your own balance. If you want to participate, feel free. If you're not wanting to do that, then, well, we can't really do a demo. So who wants to check balance? Okay.
I can't stand without this.
Without that, I'd be curious to work with, but that might be outside the scope of our demo today.
Yeah.
But let's all experience this together. So even if you're at home, here's a good time to do this too. We're gonna have you stand up, and then Sandra, if you'd like to participate, feel free, and even get the walker involved.
I'll see what I can.
Yeah, and Doc will help you out with stability. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 3 different tests or screenings to see how the balance is doing.
Okay.
And if you don't pass the first one, please don't try the second one. They get more difficult as we go along, okay? And the first one is your feet will go as close together as you can. And if you're comfortable, hands go on the hips. That's ideally the posture we want. And you're going to close your eyes, and ideally you should go to do this for 30 seconds. So wait for me, I'm going to time it. I'm going to show you the other ones before we do it, so you understand the sequence. So number 1 is feet together, hands on the hips, eyes closed for 30 seconds. The next level is going to be open your eyes, Sandy. Don't do this yet. Yeah, watch this next one. The next one, and are your eyes closed too? Open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. I'm showing you all the sequence, and then we'll do it together. So watch what we're doing first. Yeah. And then if you pass this one, we're going to go to one leg like so. And then if that passes, we're going to do eyes closed with one knee in the air. Okay?
But without holding one knee.
Correct. So it's all hands on the waist. And you already probably know where it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
But these are the screening tests that we do to see how is your balance holding up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so even up to the age, in your 80s, you should be able to do these for 10 seconds without falling over. Okay, that would be
all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. Yeah. That would be ideal in the balance world, right? And so as you're younger, you get a little longer.
At my age, you can do this because most all my friends are either PT or something.
Yeah, and so they may be doing interventions to support it, but the bottom line is these are our screening checks to say, how's my balance doing? It brings some awareness to where you're actually at. Is that fair? So here we go. So let's do this together. Hands on the hips. If you need to be near the wall, please do. Feet as close as you can. And I'm going to do this for 10 seconds as a screening. And when I say go, you'll close your eyes. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and close the eyes. And that's 10 seconds. You can open your eyes. How did that feel? If 10 is I'm perfectly balanced, I can do that all day long. And 0 is I'm pretty wobbly, I'm feeling, I'm going to fall over. Where would you say you were at on that scale?
I was okay.
You were a 10, like a solid 10, do it all day long?
You mean put my hands on my hips and...
Yeah, stand there like that. You can do that for a while. Great, that's perfect.
More than 10, I could do it probably.
Yeah, great. So you felt really steady is the point.
Yeah.
And how about you?
I'm still okay. 10 is not...
It wasn't a full 10. It was...
I mean, yeah, 10 is still okay. I thought you were saying 30 seconds.
Oh, that would be the ideal, but for the screening, we do a 10-second one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then, so on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is perfect balance and 0 is I'm feeling wobbly, going to fall over, where were you at on that continuum? 8. An 8. So what it shows us too is, and thanks for saying that, you might have passed the test, but in her mind, she's not 100% with that. There's a little hesitation that's going to play into that. Can I do these stairs? Can I go down that hill? Can I, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's just to mention that like sometimes our perception of what is happening internally is different than if we pass the test or not. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just to bring that awareness to it as well. So the other one, then, let's, if you want to try this one, again, you're welcome to, is hands on the hips, eyes are open this time. And we're going to do one knee in front of you like that. We're going to go for 10 seconds if you want to give that a whirl. You want to give that a try? When you're ready, I'm
not ready.
That's okay. You take your shoes off? Take your shoes off.
Yeah.
Do that. There you go. And I'll count when you start. Okay, so we got to 6 seconds. All right, so that's a good, so we'll use you as our demo today. Let's see if we can improve that. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Would you like to see if we can make that better?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that. I'll have you come on over here. In fact, should we try to?
What?
We'll see. So let's work on you first. Come on over here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get to see firsthand how this works or doesn't work. We're gonna doing it live and we've never met before, right? This is our first time we met.
Yeah.
Okay. So just making sure there's. Let's see about the shoulder range of motion too, because that helps us to stabilize, and it lets us know information about our nerve system. So we may see improvement in the balance, we may not. But I commonly see other changes in range of motion unrelated to neuropathy or things like that. So we're going to give something else to measure besides the balance. Is that fair? So let the shoulder relax completely. My hands are a little chilly, but let that go loose. I'm going to check to see how well it moves. And she's got some restriction right about there, right? Is that? Are you wincing on that? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt you, but that's about where it sticks. Is that right? Okay. You can rest that one down. Let's try the other one here. Let this relax completely. Okay, and she sticks there as well, right? And then what I'd like you to do, we're going to check some other ones because you mentioned that you get some back things going on, and so we need to know about your muscles that control the balance, if they're firing or not. Does that make sense? So we're going to screen that as well. So I'm going to have you sit in this chair here for me, because that's where we're going to do the rest of the treatments for you today. Good there. And then which leg has the sciatic? Is it on this side you're feeling it?
It's on my.
On the left side?
My back, my hips and my back.
Hips and back.
Lower back.
Okay, so we'll just screen them both and see what we find in there. So bring your toes up for me here. You're gonna pull the heel back that way. Yeah, pull your heel back into my hand. And can you see that doesn't really hold strong? I can move it. Pull back hard if you can. Yeah, and there's no real, it's got some resistance, but it's not really locking in strong. Try the other one, toes up. Pull the heel back for me there. And that one's even weaker. Can you raise your knee to the ceiling up into my hand here? Push that up. And that one's okay. You feel the strength of that? I can push on that pretty hard. Do the other one for me here. Yeah, and so that's also fairly solid. So your stair climbers are okay, but your going down the stairs muscles are not as solid.
How do you know that?
Okay, you felt that though, right? Yeah, so the muscle on the top of the leg is firing better than the muscle on the back of the leg.
That's my problem.
That's what we know.
Going down.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that from the way those muscles work, yours are not doing their job. Okay? Why is that?
What muscle is responsible?
So that was checking your calf muscle and the hamstring kind of as a group. So it's a general test. It's not a real specific one. So kind of checking the nerves and the muscles on the back of the leg. But if they're not working right, how balanced can you be? Right? That affects how you walk. That's half of your body's movement and your standing muscles, right? So are they kind of important or pretty important when it comes? Yeah, you can see how that would work. So what we're going to do is Dr. Strickland is going to give you some therapies here. They're non-invasive. We're going to be stimulating your nerves to get better and stronger. And we're going to check to see how we do. If we improve your range of motion, the strength of the muscle, and your balance. Okay? And that'll take us less than 10 minutes. You ready to roll? That's okay with you?
Yeah. Now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, okay.
In real time. Good? We're gonna show you what this looks like. So, how am I doing on time? We're probably, yeah. Are you guys okay on time? We usually go about an hour, but we got some.
I'm retired.
Yeah, time. Okay, so, well.
You're good, just like that.
Yeah, you're perfect with that. What's, one thing that's not on the slide is vibration therapies. And vibration is a nice way to get nerve stimulus and blood flow into the tissue, right? So you ever push a hand mower before and your hand gets a little tingly afterwards?
Like this.
So that's the wrong vibration.
A power plate at the gym.
Yeah, same idea. Power plate is great.
I work with a trainer.
Awesome. So yeah, it's the same idea.
That's what you call it.
And that sometimes it's the right vibration and sometimes it's not, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But this, yeah, power play can be a good option. Okay? But that's one of the things we do to stimulate the nerve pathways. All right, so you need a stimulus. The nerves need a couple things to heal. Again, oxygen, right? Nutrients, and a stimulus in the right way so they can heal up. So that's what we're applying here. So we got the digital electrotherapeutic stimulator. You may have seen the TENS unit before. Have you seen the TENS unit before? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's okay if you don't.
But how about what's a beamer? That's something else I use at the gym.
Great. Your gym has a beamer? That's amazing. I need to know what that gym is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
5 Bridges.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I actually am familiar with that.
You used to work there?
Yeah, one of my former employees was a trainer over there.
Every now and then I have him in my regular training.
Great.
Is it too much?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that one in a minute. But that's a great one we do in office or if you have availability.
You don't
for that.
feel anything.
Nope.
But
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, but that's great. 100%. So, yeah, this will send a signal to the tissue, and then it rehabs the nerve as the bottom line. The Cancer Treatment Centers of America prescribe this for their chemo-induced neuropathy patients. So this works on nerves regardless of what causes the damage. It's rehabbing the signal from the nerve back to the brain so it can communicate again properly.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So that is the bottom line, is it rehabs the nerve signal.
Ah.
And then we're using light. There's scads of research that show that light allows the nerve or the blood vessels to regrow. So light therapy regrows nerves. Nerves too, but also blood vessels. That's the main thing. Angiogenesis is one of the main things. Restoring blood flow and also relieving pain. You can use this not just where you have the neuropathy symptoms. You can also use this in, for example, the lower back or a shoulder or wherever you may have another challenge. I'm gonna give it a syrup. And we've got different types of lasers and tools we can use. So this one is a hot one. It warms the tissue up pretty quickly. There are other technologies out there that take longer. We used to use one that took 30 minutes per session. This one is now 1 minute. So the technology is advanced. We try to keep up with that stuff. And most people like to save time, right? So we went to the 1 minute instead of the 30 all day long. Yeah. And the other key is going to be then nutritional protocols that actually work. There's a lot of stuff online. Buy this nerve cream, buy these nerve pills, you know. And if they work, cool. We just don't see those people because they got better. But for a lot of people, it's one leg on the stool. It's not all four that make up the solid chair. We need to do all of the things right to get the results that we're getting. Does that make sense? So we got nutritional protocols that work, they're researched, and that work not just here, but across the entire country. People are having success with these same protocols. So these are amazing. And we're talking about whole foods and reducing inflammation, right?
I also go to a nutritionist.
Okay, so you're like way ahead of.
I haven't gone that long.
Right.
Now my insurance will pay for it for up to 12 hours or something like that.
Great. Yeah, so you already have a lot of key pieces in place.
Well,
They're
I
just
started
separate.
with a nutritionist because I was diagnosed diabetic.
Yep.
2 times, yeah.
Okay.
In
So, yeah.
February.
Huh?
So I wanted to know what was the things to eat. I mean, I know candy and cake.
Yeah, right.
But what
But
things?
specifically, how can you support? Great. That's great. I love you being proactive. That's a giant thing. Is people want, like, they have to want to get changed and get better. So that's giant.
Hasn't quite had my.
No, again, it's one leg of the stool. If you're only doing diet, and unless it's a mild case, the diet alone does not change the neuropathy.
I go to, I do
Yeah.
the plate, and they just got that beamer, and I do that. But I only go up there twice a week for an hour.
And that's the other thing.
Is that not long enough?
So again, if you're trying to build muscle or maintain, that may be enough to get that tissue to respond. When you're trying to rehab nerves that have been damaged for months or years, what I found, and that's why we failed with Betty, because we only saw her once or twice a week, right? In the office, doing things for her there. That's the same model that you're using with the different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So, not again, depending on the severity of the tissue damage, it may or may not be enough. I don't know if it's helping or not because we don't know what the measurements are. Yeah, but that's the same model that I did for a while. We really got very, very marginal results with for that reason. So typically, nerves respond to more frequent stimulation and care. So the more you can stimulate them and heal them up day in and day out, that's when you really start to see the big wins. Okay. So the other ones then we do in the office, a lot of times people have a disc problem. So usually sciatica is related to the nerves that are irritated in the lower back, right? And those nerves then go down to the feet and the legs. Or same thing, if you got a neck issue here, that can also then keep everything downstream from working as effectively. So sometimes we need to treat the neck to actually get the legs to work better. And so those are common things that we see. If we need to work on a disc, the machine in the back corner here called the back on track is for lumbar traction. Okay, so this will do what chiropractic cannot do, which is, get disc space in there, right? And so this literally tractions the lower back very gently to relieve the space that got cramped and take the pressure off that. Actually, you can regrow disc space in there. Okay, we've helped a lot of people avoid back surgeries.
What about the gel that they put? Is that
again, it's a similar concept. They're trying to grow space between the bones, right, to decompress the nerve. But that's a medical intervention way to do that. And a lot of people are going, I don't want needles near my spinal cord, or they would rather prevent them from needing to do that in the first place. So again, if it's smashed all the way and we can't decompress it, then that may be an option that's available. But a lot of times it's a subclinical one where you wouldn't even qualify for that kind of treatment anyway. And we can use this to decompress it naturally and help your body heal on its own and avoid that possibility down the trail. Great question. So that's amazing technology. And then like you see Sandy here in this chair, this is the pulse electromagnetic field. It's a magnet that turns on and off quickly. And it's like when your cell phone dies, what do?
Charge it.
You charge it. When your cell batteries die, you need to charge up your cell batteries. They need more energy to heal. Does that make sense? So this literally will charge your cell's batteries. Now, we're not running that for you now because there's other things we need to make sure before we can use that equipment. But for those that qualify for that treatment, it's amazing at getting blood flow back and stimulating the brain and the nerves to heal way, way, way faster. Okay? So that's really cool technology. They use it on horses. They top-end race horses. They all have this kind of equipment to heal up their animals faster for races and things like that. So really, really incredible technology. My son broke his wrist skateboarding, right? How long are you going to cast for, typically?
6 weeks.
6 weeks minimum. We had him out in 2. Okay? It heals up bone fractures like nobody's business. It's really amazing for speeding the healing process. Okay? So that's other equipment we use in the office. You mentioned the beamer. We do have that as well, and that is great for restoring blood flow and circulation. So people need to own those at home for themselves, depending on how bad their circulation is, and they do need to do it twice a day. So again, depending on the severity of the case and how bad. I had one patient, she had literally 3 heart attacks in about a 4-month period of time. I said, you need one at home and you have to use it twice a day, right? So it just depends on the case. That's not, I don't see that often, but you may sometimes need that intensity. The other major one is, there we go, soft wave. This has been a game changer. So this is a sound wave that restores blood flow 300%, right? We're talking about angiogenesis. It reduces inflammation immediately. We typically see, now with neuropathy, if there's numbness, we don't always see an immediate result, but like for a knee, a shoulder, lower back, things like that, sciatica, we'll see improvement 20 to 50% in just 1 or 2 treatments. The other benefit is it stimulates stem cells. Your body's own natural stem cells. So without the expensive injections and things like that, your body can actually do its own healing. You treat it for a time, and then it will continue to improve for an additional 12 weeks. So we only have to treat it for a certain period of time. The body continues to heal for another several months, which is pretty cool. Not many technologies are like that. The entire country of Austria, from what I understand, has this in their universal healthcare systems. Like, they've reduced the number of spinal injuries, like significant improvements in people's health. So this is tremendous for healing any kind of joint problem, any kind of, especially neuropathy, getting blood flow back to that tissue. This has been major. Can you see the foot here?
Yeah.
So it's bad blood flow, right? How many treatments between this one and this one do you think?
I don't know. The one that's gray looks like it's about ready to be empty.
Right? Yeah, it's bad news. This was one treatment.
Really?
One. This is from a colleague of mine that took that picture, and it's pretty incredible. I've not seen one this dark in a long time. I saw it before we had this technology, but we routinely see feet that are not quite, and they do. They pick right up. Blood flow starts coming back. It's pretty incredible. So that's another major one we do in the office. Here's a free one. Breathing. Okay, we all have to breathe anyway. So here's how you do the breathing. And the breathing is you're going to breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 6 with a hum, and then hold it out for 2 and repeat. The hum stimulates your relaxation nerve system and activates the healing nerves better. Okay, so it looks like this. And you hold it. Hold out for 2 and repeat. Okay? So in your bag is a little bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see on here, the recommendation is 5 to 10 times every waking hour. Who's realistically going to remember to do it that often? It's usually on the water bottle if it's...
Oh, yeah.
You see it on there, Sandy? So this is your breathing reminder. Okay? It's also a declaration. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something to improve my quality of life. I'm taking ownership over this. I'm going to beat neuropathy. Okay, so this is kind of a two-pronged piece there, but this is your breathing reminder. Can I put that on you? Yeah, that's your breathing reminder. Which one do you want on that one? And it's you're saying, hey, I'm making a change. I'm going to beat neuropathy. So if you're ready to do that, slide that thing on.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's just like, we got you. We're together in this, okay? And we're going to breathe. I mean, we'll go through this twice, and then we're going to recheck to see how your balance got in the muscles and stuff, okay? That's where we're going. So, you ready to do the breathing? Here we go together. We'll do 2 rounds of it. So you can feel what that's like. Would you like to stand up? You're welcome to. Yeah, you stand. Can I help you? Mm-hmm. There you go. So let's breathe. Here we go. Breathing in. Hold it. Humming. Good. Hold it out for 2. Breathing in. Hold it. Okay. That is proven to increase what's called nitric oxide, which dilates your blood vessels. And that's going to do this instead of this. Okay, I had a patient, she was on her feet all day long at her job. And before she came in, between the seminar, we showed how to do that. And when she came in for her first visit, she was doing that 5 times every waking hour. And she said, Doc, my feet are already feeling better just doing the breathing. So if you do it, it works. So if you're at a red light, do something. You're like, put this in your normal day-to-day. And that should be in your handout as well. Yep. Okay? So yeah, that's how you do that one. I mentioned Leroy. He was a painter, had to, slow down his job. He got 50% better, which is lower than we typically see for a lot of people. He was diabetic and would not give up sweet tea. And he still made headway. And so I mentioned him because you don't have to be perfect to make good progress. But you get better progress the more strict you are with how that plays out. And Elsie she literally would drive an hour and a half to get to the office. She was serious about getting better. and she got tremendously better, got her balance back and things like that. So we can tell stories like that all day long. Let's see how we did in real time. You ready to check your balance again?
Oh, sure.
Let's do that. So come on up here for me. Yeah, by the walls you feel a little steadier. So again, we're gonna go right. We'll do the hands on the hips and eyes closed for 10 when you're ready. Go ahead and close your eyes. And that's 10. Did that feel different than the 8 originally?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah? Yeah, so come over this way for me. So you can, our nice people at home can see what's going on too. So tell us what was different. You said, oh yeah, what was different?
Balance.
Balance was
I
different.
didn't feel like scared. Earlier I was like,
Oh.
I felt like this earlier.
Yeah.
But
And then the fear was less.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Let's check some other things. You ready to do the next one?
Yeah, the one like this.
Yeah, let's try one leg. I'll be right here. That's okay?
Okay.
Okay, so when you're ready,
So
hands on the hips,
okay.
and your eyes will be open, and bring the one leg up whenever you're ready.
Oh, wait. How should I?
So not great, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, and so we also run into, sometimes we over exercise the nervous system. Like if you did too many curls, you get tired. And so with even that little bit of therapy, that might have been too much. I don't know. But so the balance didn't necessarily change on that part yet, right? That's about the same.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, so again, a lot of things you complain about. I'm hungry. So let this shoulder relax. Let's check range of motion, and we'll check those legs and see if anything else improved, right? Because that's why we have to see what else is happening. So you're good here. Let this relax completely.
Okay.
Let it go loose, and let's see what happened.
Oh, it's much better.
It's much better, huh? Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Right? Let this relax completely. Let's see if that's any different. Let it go heavy. What do you think about that side? Is that different?
Yeah.
That's different too?
Yeah.
And we didn't even treat the shoulders, right? So what does that mean? We're seeing improvement in the entire nerve system when our body starts to get some kind of stimulus. Pretty neat, right? Yeah, you're still wondering about the balance. Me too. But let's have you sit down again, and I'll check to see if those muscles are any stronger in the legs. Because they were both weak when you pulled back. Am I right?
So am I supposed to?
So yeah, bring your toe up and pull your heel back into my hand.
Go up.
Yeah. You feel that?
Yeah.
Does that feel stronger to you?
Yeah.
It definitely is stronger. I can't budge that. Do the other one here. Bring the toe up. Pull your heel back. Okay. Now that one's still weak. Pretty weak.
Oh.
That one didn't change when we got the strength on this side.
Yeah.
So there's something else going on. Obviously, we just gave you a
Can we
mini
do this
treatment.
again?
Sure, I can. Yeah. Toe up.
Up.
Yeah. Bring your rest the knee. Just bring your ankle up like that. Yeah, and pull the heel back into my hand. Yeah, and that one's still very, very weak. So there's other things going on in your system. Again, we gave you a micro treatment. It wasn't the full thing. We didn't really, but we're seeing some improvement. Range of motion got significantly better, and we got strength back in that leg, in the hamstring and calf better. So there's, again, other pieces. This isn't like fixing everything, but your experience was with the balance, that it had improved with your eyes, that fear was gone. That's giant right there.
Yeah.
When's the last time you had no fear with the balance element like that? It's been a long time. Can you start to see the power now? If we're doing something like this day in and day out for 90 days and treating the nerve right, how that starts to impact the nerve system and you start to heal up. Can you, maybe your arm gets all the way up after time, I don't know. But we see that commonly. We see range of motion improve. We see balance improve. We see all kinds of things get better. And we didn't do nutrition. We didn't do any of the other, like, this is a micro treatment. Does that make sense? That's where I get excited, because I know the power the body has to heal when we remove the interference and it can do its job again. So was that helpful to see kind of like firsthand, like what does some of this look like?
Yeah.
Is that useful? Because a lot of times you're like, well, here's information, but they don't really show you how it works.
In the one that Austria has it in their health.
Yeah, the soft wave, that one's incredible. Yeah, that one is really, really cool. So we got to see some improvement. How many doctors have shown you like immediate improvement after a couple of minutes of something? It's pretty.
They only give you 15 minutes in the office anymore.
Right? Yeah, they run you through 15 minutes. We're different than that. We like to be different and treat people.
Yeah.
There's a lot more care in our healthcare.
And then when they say surgery, you're scared. Because
right. Yeah.
anything, you know.
But hopefully you're starting to see that. Now, can I do one other thing? This is more of we do this for our disc or low back seminars.
Mm-hmm.
But because I know that's usually part of this problem, if you lean your body this way, can you tilt for me? Just kind of tilt your torso this way. Lean your shoulders that way. Yeah, like that. And I want you to do the same test with the leg. Put your toes up. Pull your heel backwards.
Both of them or?
Just the right side here, but she's leaning to the side. Pull back for me. That got a little better. Can you lean to the other side and pull the heel backwards? That gets super weak. Feel that? Are you noticing that? Lean to the left again. Lean even more if you can. Yeah, you good there? Can you pull that back hard? Feel the strength start to come back in that? That's a good sign that we can decompress that nerve, make it better. But to show you what's going on there, and this is, again, we had a small enough group today, I'm going to give you a little extra. I know you're hungry. We'll wrap this up. But what's going on is when you tilt, the disc is getting pinched here. When you lean it, it makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
When you lean the other way, it makes it better.
Oh.
So we kind of did our own functional MRI right here in the office to see if we can improve that or not. And that is showing me your body can respond to conservative things. Most likely, we don't know all the details yet, but that would be an important element for you is your back is related to what's going on in the legs.
So like, if I say, yeah, I'm interested in doing this.
Yeah.
So it will start, when will it start? It will start next week or week after next or next month? That's
exactly what we're going into now. So one is, how do I qualify, right? If I want to do this, what does that look like? We have a two-part process to the scenario. One is we do our day one investigation, right? What's going on? How bad is it? Go through your detailed history, and we do our assessment to figure out what's going on. That typically takes about an hour, hour and a half. And then we get back together again on the second visit, go over results and options, things like that. If it's depending on the neuropathy, it may take, if we can help, might be 3 to 4 months, all the way up to 2 years, depending on how bad the damage is. And so that's what the assessment lets us know. Does my insurance cover this? What does insurance like to cover?
I always call and ask.
Yeah.
I call it before, yeah.
Yeah, you already called before you, yeah. So here's the bottom line, and we do this so often that we put it in the packet. Medicare's guidelines, which is what everybody goes off of. Mm-hmm. Medicare's guidelines say if it's designed to make you better and improve your quality of life, it is it's an elective procedure. Okay. So your insurance will not, they don't contribute to this kind of care for that reason. Now, if it's a mechanical thing like chiropractic or other like PT, there may be some reimbursement for that, but it's going to be pretty small. Most people have an substantial out-of-pocket portion. So just for full transparency, we tell you that up front because there's no sense in.
Hey, told us.
Yeah.
But so I went to her.
Yeah.
And so because they scheduled me. So
yeah, great.
Well, I've been going there for about 3 sessions, like 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
And the first time, they charged me $92. Okay, and then after each time I go there now, it's $20 copay. Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing.
And again, it depends on what you need, right? So they're doing more spinal related things. I don't know that they're treating neuropathy, and I don't know if that's exactly what you have. We know that. Okay. So that's what we do to assess it. Or do you actually qualify for what we're treating? Or is it a separate thing, in which case keep doing that or we co-treat, right? If they're doing that, then we don't need to, and insurance covers it, by all means, get the coverage you need.
Because I think they base it on
sciatica
and the pain.
Right. And so again, that may be the full picture, and it may not. It may be a partial diagnosis, it may be the whole thing. I don't know that yet, but that's what we have to figure out in the assessment.
Okay.
Is this a condition that we specialize in and treat and can help you with, and we're not going to waste your time or money on it.
Okay.
But just to let you know.
Is the assessment?
Yeah, so the assessment, great question. We're going to get to that in just a moment and show you what's involved with that. Okay? Typically, though, if we can help, and it's truly a peripheral neuropathy, programs can run anywhere from, say, 3,000 up to 14, 16,000, depending if it's like a stage 4, neuropathies. And anywhere in between, depending on what's involved. What are the root causes we have to get to? Is it gut health? Is it spinal? Is it blood flow? Like, how many issues do you have to solve to get that better? Does that make sense? So that's the range we see, but the great news is there's some pretty good financing companies, and a lot of people take advantage of that. And we get those payments to usually around $200 to $400 a month for a lot of people, sometimes even less than that.
I saw it there. Credit.
Yeah, we have a lot of different options for that. So here's the bottom line. If we can help you, we decide that we can help your case, we will bend over backwards to find a way to get something done to improve you. Okay, so we never want that financial piece to be an issue, but I want to show just full transparency. Here's what we're dealing with, and here's what we commonly see. So there's no surprises on day one. It's just like, here, this is what it is. Okay. So does that make sense? Is that helpful to know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, again, you've had your time wasted before. How do you feel about that? They waste your time or money? Nobody likes that, right? I can't stand that. So my promise to you is that we're never going to do that. If we can help you, we're going to tell you. If we can't, we'll be straightforward and honest and say, we can do this, we can't do that, and just be blunt with it, right? So that's my promise to you. And if we are unable to help you, we promise to get you in the hands of somebody else that can. I've got a bunch of other docs that do similar mindset with these things. They can maybe give you some other support that we're unable to provide. Is that fair? So I want this to be a win-win no matter what. You either go, yes, I can get help here, or no, they're going to get me in the hands of somebody that could give me some more support. All right? So next steps, here's the opportunity we have available for you, and that answers your question, what's involved with this whole process. So again, it's a 2-part process. Day 1 is information gathering. We go through our detailed history. Like you mentioned, people will shuffle you in 15 minutes. We spend more time figuring out what's going on, how bad is it, what got you to this point, like what's involved in your story, what is really important to you, what are your goals that you want to get back, and we go over that in our consultation. We do our neurological evaluation then. Balance and coordination testing, we actually have a digital balance tracker that will measure and actually give us a number on how bad is your balance. Okay, not just do you pass the test or not of the screening, we can measure improvement with that technology. We do other muscle strength testing like we did for Trinidad here. We do more specific ones to see which nerve levels are damaged and how weak are they, and this is another assessment on what we're improving. And then we do our 16-point sensory exam to see which of those nerves are damaged from what you can feel or not feel going from the feet or hands back to the brain. Okay, so that's the neural exam. Then you mentioned the thermal camera, right? So we do a thermal image that lets us about the blood flow to the feet. We do a postural analysis to see about your weight-bearing difference and if that's contributing to ankle knee problems or something like that, or lower back problems where the nerves could be irritated or pinched like that. And we do a microcirculation test. So this looks like a pulse ox on your fingers. So it's non-invasive, but this screening lets us know, is there blood flow problems? And your MD will typically see it at type 5 or higher when they do their standard cardiology screenings. We get to see it sooner. And again, they're looking usually for more of a artery problem than they are the microcirculation. And that's what feeds the nerve. So we're looking for microcirculation challenges or problems there. And if you have stiff blood vessels, you need to be more on the good side than the normal if you have neuropathy. Does that make sense? So we get to see that on this one. So our advanced diagnostics all on one screen, the value of that is 300. Then that's our day 1. After that information, we get that info, we go over as a team, can we help them? What are their goals? How do we get those goals back? And is this really a case that we can help? Okay. We put that plan together, and we go over your goals with your partner in health, whoever has that has your best interest in mind, and says, hey, I help you make healthcare decisions and or financial decisions. You should be at those appointments so that you have an extra person. You get more value out of those visits when you have somebody with you. Does that make sense? We give you a graph of your sensory loss. So again, this lets us know how damaged the nerve is. If you're at 85%, what does that mean?
You're headed for trouble.
You're headed for trouble. That's like point of no return. You are most likely going to have permanent nerve damage if the nerves have gone that far. If it's below that, we can usually make substantial headway, if not complete headway, like we do with Betty, and really make major changes. So we go over the graph with you, let you know your sensory loss, your customized care plan, what does that involve, and then the financial options and your investment in that. Does that make sense? So all that together on day one, the total value is $875. Okay? But I understand insurance isn't going to cover this. So, but I do know that people that take action are the ones that win. And you may not know that about me yet, but I love to win, and we win all the time with this stuff. So to encourage that, I want you to take some action. So we're going to give you another full treatment with the digital electrotherapeutic stimulation to rehab the nerve. That would be a bonus if you take action on that. And also 25 top anti-inflammatory foods you can start to use right now to win with neuropathy. So those are our freebies we throw in, bonuses on top of that to bring the total value to $945, okay, for that first assessment, those 2 visits, right? I realize insurance is not going to cover that, so we are doing that for, it didn't show up on there, but it's $197, okay? That's going to let us know if we can help you or not, and let you know how bad the nerve damage is.
How much again?
$197 instead of the $945. $197 includes everything here and your 2 bonuses. Okay. We obviously only have the limited spots, and that's only available for people that are here in the office. If you're at home, this does not apply to you. So you guys have that added advantage. We do only have a couple spots for that available. As you can imagine, we can't do this all the time like that. We have referrals coming in and other people that need the help. So we got some specific time slots dedicated for that one. If that is of interest to you, then all you got to do is go see Kayla, and she's going to collect the payment for the appointment, get all your paper information that you need, and get you set up and ready to roll for that. Okay? Any questions on that process? Pretty simple.
If we don't do it today, then what?
If you don't do it today, then I can't necessarily extend that or say those will be available later on. We do have other seminars that come up, and so that could be another option. We'll figure something out. We're here to help, but I can't promise those same spots are available. Yeah. Just, again, we'll do everything we can. I don't know for sure if they're going to be.
I don't jump into that kind of money without thinking about it.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
When will this be available?
What's that?
When will be
The appointment times? I don't know that yet, but Kayla does. She's our ninja scheduler, and she can figure that out. So if you want to go see her right now, she'll take care of that one.
Okay.
And then Sandy, I would just ask you, who else is doing work that's like this that you can what else is there to think about?
Well, I go to a cardiologist for my leg circulation.
Yeah.
I have those compression boots that cost me $4,000.
Right, but that's just squeezing the legs, right, to move some blood.
The legs and the feet.
Right.
Start from the feet and go up to here.
Yeah.
And I can do that every day. I don't do it every day, but I do it a couple times a week.
Is it improved? Are you getting better?
Well, it's like you said, if you don't do it all the time, that's probably some of my problem.
Yeah.
Then I became diabetic, but because of that, I started going to a nutritionist to help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have a lot of things going on. I go to the gym for 2 hours twice a week.
Great. So my question is, and don't get me pressuring at all with this, just because I know the neck injury, I know there are other families. Gotcha.
The last couple of years, so I can only spread myself so.
I get it.
I live in a house, and I
Thank you so much.
shouldn't live in a big house anymore, but it's harder to move than it is to
Yeah.
just stay there.
So all I'm saying is, and things to think about, don't even pressure you in the least, but going for a little bit, we can figure out, can we help you? What does that look like? And then you know what your options are. Just my encouragement is taking advantage of that. We're here to help you out. And, again, think about what you need to think about. But I guess when I hear that, I think,